Global debt quietly reshapes modern empires. Nations borrow today to survive tomorrow. Loans become chains disguised as opportunity. Interest replaces armies in silent wars. Creditors rarely appear on battlefields. Their weapons are contracts and clauses. Paper agreements decide national futures. Debt accumulates faster than prosperity. Development arrives wrapped in obligations. Aid often hides long-term dependency. Infrastructure becomes collateral for loans. Ports and highways secure repayment. Sovereignty weakens with every signature. Ministers sign under financial pressure. Default becomes a political nightmare. Markets punish hesitation instantly. Ratings agencies shape global reputations. A downgrade can destroy economies. Investors flee within hours. Currency collapses follow quickly. Imports become suddenly unaffordable. Inflation punishes ordinary citizens. Savings vanish without warning. Protests erupt in crowded capitals. Governments promise impossible solutions. Emergency loans restart the cycle. Each bailout deepens dependence. Credit replaces structural reform. Short-term relief delays real change. Politicians prioritize election survival. Long-term stability is sacrificed. Debt statistics hide human suffering. Numbers replace personal tragedies. Budgets become instruments of control. Lenders demand strict austerity programs. Social services face immediate cuts. Hospitals lose essential funding. Schools reduce critical programs. Youth unemployment rises dangerously. Migration becomes an escape strategy. Talent drains from weakened states. Productivity declines even further. Tax revenues shrink steadily. Deficits expand again. The spiral accelerates quietly. Economic textbooks rarely show this pain. Models ignore political instability. Forecasts assume rational behavior. Reality delivers chaos instead. Financial discipline meets social anger. Riots become negotiation tools. Streets replace conference rooms. Police budgets grow while schools shrink. Public trust erodes rapidly. Corruption thrives in desperation. Emergency powers expand silently. Democratic oversight weakens. Debt centralizes authority. Leaders rule by necessity. Parliaments lose real influence. Technocrats replace elected officials. Policies follow lender instructions. Local priorities become irrelevant. Foreign advisors write budgets. National plans mirror external interests. Development becomes standardized templates. Cultural realities are ignored. Resistance is labeled irresponsible. Media repeats financial narratives. Alternative voices are marginalized. Critics face funding restrictions. Research depends on donor approval. Think tanks follow money flows. Public debate becomes constrained. Complexity hides accountability. Blame is endlessly redistributed. No single actor accepts responsibility. Systems protect themselves first. Citizens pay the final cost. Future generations inherit liabilities. Children are born into deficits. Opportunity narrows at birth. Geography determines financial destiny. Poor nations pay higher interest. Risk premiums punish vulnerability. Wealth buys cheaper money. Poverty finances expensive credit. Inequality is reinforced mathematically. Spreadsheets encode social hierarchies. Balance sheets reflect power structures. Capital flows follow strategic interests. Morality rarely guides lending. Profit dominates ethical concern. Crisis creates investment opportunities. Distress attracts speculative capital. Vultures circle weakened economies. Assets are acquired cheaply. Control shifts without invasion. Flags remain, but power moves. The trap closes silently. International lenders expand influence. Debt negotiations happen behind closed doors. Confidential clauses redefine national priorities. Emergency summits replace public debate. Presidents face pressure from markets. Phone calls determine fiscal survival. Interest schedules dictate political calendars. Elections become secondary to repayments. Budgets are drafted for creditors first. Citizens receive leftovers. Development plans are rewritten annually. Long projects are abandoned midway. Contractors disappear with unpaid invoices. Local businesses collapse quietly. Supply chains fracture under uncertainty. Imports require foreign approval. Currency reserves dictate sovereignty. Central banks lose independence. Monetary policy becomes reactive. Printing money accelerates inflation. Prices rise faster than wages. Food becomes a political issue. Energy subsidies are reduced. Transportation costs surge. Rural regions face isolation. Urban poverty expands rapidly. Informal economies absorb the jobless. Tax bases shrink dangerously. Public finances deteriorate further. Borrowing becomes unavoidable again. New loans refinance old mistakes. Debt is rolled forward endlessly. Interest compounds silently. Mathematical growth defeats reforms. Small deficits become massive obligations. Forecasts underestimate long-term damage. Political cycles remain too short. Structural reform faces resistance. Elites protect privileged sectors. Subsidies favor powerful groups. Inequality deepens within societies. Social mobility declines steadily. Education access becomes unequal. Private schools replace public systems. Healthcare turns into luxury. Preventable diseases reappear. Life expectancy stagnates. Social cohesion weakens. Trust in institutions collapses. Conspiracy theories replace facts. Foreign influence becomes scapegoat. Nationalism rises from frustration. Populists exploit economic pain. Promises replace practical solutions. Fiscal reality is ignored. Deficits widen again. Creditors demand harsher terms. Negotiations become confrontational. Threats of default escalate. Markets prepare for panic. Capital flight accelerates. Banks restrict withdrawals. Cash shortages spread fear. Queues form outside branches. Confidence evaporates overnight. Tourism collapses immediately. Foreign investors suspend projects. Insurance premiums skyrocket. Trade becomes expensive. Ports operate below capacity. Export revenues decline sharply. Balance of payments worsens. Emergency reserves are depleted. Gold holdings are liquidated. Strategic assets face privatization. Utilities are sold cheaply. Water and power change owners. Public monopolies disappear. Service prices increase. Quality declines simultaneously. Citizens pay more for less. Accountability becomes diluted. Foreign boards control decisions. Profits are repatriated abroad. Local reinvestment declines. Economic sovereignty erodes. Development becomes externally managed. National vision fragments. Long-term planning disappears. Crisis management dominates policy. Ministries operate in survival mode. Innovation budgets are eliminated. Research programs are cancelled. Universities lose funding. Brain drain intensifies. Skilled workers emigrate. Productivity stagnates further. Recovery becomes distant. Hope weakens quietly. Dependence hardens into structure. Debt diplomacy replaces traditional warfare. Contracts succeed where armies once failed. Influence travels through financial corridors. Power hides inside repayment schedules. Sovereignty dissolves in spreadsheets. Ministers negotiate under invisible pressure. Budgets reveal foreign fingerprints. Economic plans mirror creditor interests. National priorities are externally approved. Development becomes conditional commission. Infrastructure maps reveal strategic intent. Railways follow repayment routes. Ports become collateralized gateways. Airports secure international leverage. Logistics replace military occupation. Trade routes enforce dependency. Access determines political obedience. Sanctions amplify debt vulnerability. Isolation increases financial submission. Desperation accelerates concession. Emergency cabinets bypass legislation. Executive power expands quietly. Transparency declines during crises. Oversight committees lose relevance. Accountability becomes symbolic. Decisions migrate to closed meetings. Public consultation disappears. Consent is replaced by urgency. Fear justifies unpopular policies. Stability becomes bargaining currency. Security is traded for liquidity. Surveillance grows alongside austerity. Social unrest is preempted. Protests are financially criminalized. Activism faces funding restrictions. NGOs depend on donor approval. Civil society weakens gradually. Independent media loses advertisers. Journalism becomes cautious. Investigation threatens funding streams. Truth competes with survival. Narratives are financially filtered. Dissent becomes economically risky. Self-censorship spreads silently. Intellectual debate narrows. Universities avoid controversial research. Grants favor safe conclusions. Policy debates lose depth. Complexity is simplified. Blame is externalized. Citizens target foreign enemies. Internal corruption escapes scrutiny. Elites redirect public anger. Scandals are quickly buried. Crisis fatigue weakens resistance. Normalization of austerity occurs. Poverty becomes statistical. Suffering becomes background noise. Reports replace lived experience. Charts replace human stories. Decision-makers remain insulated. Private clinics serve officials. International schools protect families. Inequality becomes structural. Social mobility freezes. Opportunity concentrates at the top. Credit access follows privilege. Entrepreneurship requires connections. Innovation becomes elitist. Informal markets dominate margins. Tax evasion increases. Revenue collection weakens. Fiscal gaps expand. Enforcement targets small traders. Large networks remain untouched. Selective justice preserves hierarchies. Legal systems lose credibility. Courts face political pressure. Judges consider economic fallout. Law adapts to markets. Contracts outrank constitutions. Arbitration replaces sovereignty. Disputes leave national courts. Foreign panels decide outcomes. Compensation favors investors. Public interest is secondary. Environmental damage is tolerated. Resource extraction intensifies. Communities absorb pollution. Profits exit the country. Restoration remains unfunded. Health costs accumulate. Medical systems overload. Insurance becomes inaccessible. Preventive care declines. Productivity suffers silently. Absenteeism rises steadily. Economic potential erodes. Long-term damage compounds. Dependency becomes generational. Global institutions coordinate financial discipline. Policy frameworks standardize crisis responses. Templates replace contextual solutions. Local realities are minimized. Economic diversity is discouraged. Export specialization is enforced. Commodity dependence increases volatility. Price swings destabilize budgets. Revenue forecasting becomes unreliable. Planning horizons shrink drastically. Short-term survival dominates strategy. Infrastructure maintenance is postponed. Bridges and grids deteriorate. Logistics failures multiply costs. Industrial accidents become frequent. Safety regulations are relaxed. Corporate lobbying influences oversight. Environmental fines remain symbolic. Cleanup costs are socialized. Profits remain privatized. Public debt absorbs private risk. Bailouts reward speculation. Moral hazard expands. Recklessness becomes rational behavior. Risk models ignore tail events. Extreme scenarios remain unfunded. Disaster reserves are insufficient. Climate shocks intensify vulnerability. Floods destroy fragile infrastructure. Droughts reduce export crops. Food imports increase deficits. Subsidies become unavoidable. Fiscal pressure intensifies. International lenders impose ceilings. Social spending faces caps. Pension reforms reduce benefits. Retirement insecurity spreads. Elderly poverty rises quietly. Family support networks weaken. Urban migration accelerates. Informal settlements expand. Public transport overloads. Sanitation systems fail. Health risks multiply. Epidemics spread faster. Emergency responses lack funding. Foreign aid fills gaps. Dependence deepens further. Aid becomes political leverage. Conditional grants shape voting patterns. Regional blocs apply pressure. Trade agreements enforce compliance. Tariffs punish resistance. Market access becomes incentive. Domestic industries lose protection. Infant sectors collapse. Import dependence increases. Technological capacity stagnates. Research ecosystems weaken. Patents remain foreign-owned. Licensing fees drain reserves. Software dependence grows. Data centers are outsourced. Cybersecurity relies on contractors. Strategic data leaves borders. Digital sovereignty erodes. Surveillance tools are imported. Privacy laws weaken. Civil liberties face erosion. Emergency measures become permanent. Constitutional limits are stretched. Judicial reviews are delayed. Political opposition fragments. Campaign funding becomes restricted. Media ownership consolidates. Editorial independence declines. Advertising pressures shape coverage. Investigative units close. Whistleblowers face retaliation. Transparency portals stagnate. Public records are delayed. Procurement becomes opaque. Cost overruns multiply. Infrastructure budgets inflate. Kickbacks distort priorities. Meritocracy weakens. Patronage networks expand. Loyalty outweighs competence. Institutional memory fades. Training programs are cut. Administrative capacity declines. Policy execution weakens. Monitoring systems malfunction. Evaluation reports are ignored. Lessons remain unlearned. Reforms repeat old errors. Cycles become predictable. Crisis becomes routine. Normalization dulls outrage. Control becomes invisible. Debt traps survive through complexity and silence. Most citizens never see the contracts. Obligations are hidden in technical language. Responsibility is scattered deliberately. No single villain appears. Systems operate without faces. Power functions through procedures. Influence travels through balance sheets. Resistance requires financial literacy. Education becomes political defense. Transparency disrupts hidden structures. Data access empowers accountability. Independent audits reveal manipulation. Public oversight limits abuse. Regional cooperation reduces vulnerability. Diversification strengthens sovereignty. Domestic savings reduce dependence. Local capital builds resilience. Productive investment restores autonomy. Manufacturing rebuilds fiscal stability. Technology reduces import reliance. Innovation expands strategic options. Energy independence limits pressure. Food security prevents coercion. Strong institutions resist capture. Rule of law protects policy. Merit-based governance improves trust. Long-term planning counters cycles. Inclusive growth stabilizes societies. Awareness breaks the trap.